Hello, hello, hello. I'm a bit nervous coming into this live today. I feel like I may cry. I'm just going to put it out there. So just forewarning. Yeah, I suppose a little warning. Warning. Yes, I have wanted to do this one for a couple of weeks, but kind of just was putting it off a little bit as well. So don't really know where I'm going to start. So I'll let a few more people join and then we can go from there. But yes, warning, there may be tears. Probably does need a trigger warning as well, which I should probably pop in the caption once I'm done. Where are my kids? Harper is at kinder and the twins are having a nap. And my fur babies, one is playing in the garden and I don't know where my other cat is. Yeah. But Harper is at kinder today. Last week of kinder, school holidays next week. Ooh. Yes. So yeah, I wanted to do this because when I shared my most recent miscarriage, hi, Belfast, how cool. That's so cool. I haven't been to Ireland. I really want to go, a Northern Ireland. The twins are in daycare twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah. So when I had my miscarriages, both of my most recent ones, the outpouring of not just love, but I suppose relatability women shared with me and the vulnerability women shared with me was huge. I think miscarriage is getting more talked about, but it's still not hugely talked about. And the people that came out of the woodwork telling me how much they resonated and how much they thanked me for sharing and how much it made them feel seen, and people sharing with me their losses. I think sometimes people don't feel like they can share their losses because it is a negative subject. It's a downer subject and you don't want to be that person, and you don't, so I think sometimes we hide back and we don't want to talk about it. And we also, I think, sometimes are scared of expressing our emotions and stuff like that as well. So the amount of women that came out, and women that have been following me for so long, or I've worked with that have, hi Megan, that have miscarried or had stillbirths was huge. And it literally touched me, like the words from women. And I thought, you know what, like, let's go live, let's talk about this. And then of course there are women that are struggling to get out of that as well, that have had, say, multiple miscarriages or a first miscarriage, and don't know how to move through it and are struggling to move through it. And women telling me, how much my strength and resilience inspired them to keep going because they were in a hard place. And I thought, yeah, you know what, by sharing my story and talking about it and opening it up the floor for questions, I think hopefully will help people, because it is a part of life, unfortunately. But so yeah, I thought I would jump on and sort of tell you a bit about our story, and then talk to you guys through how I'm coping with it, how I deal with it, and then moving forward. And then if you guys want to ask any questions, then you can ask questions as well. So see, I'm going to cry. I can feel it coming. When you can feel the bubble in your stomach. I'll try and hold off. So, I think as well, a miscarriage is called a miscarriage up until 20 weeks as well. So it's still a miscarriage. And after that's a stillbirth. And I think it's really, for me as well, so my 3 previous miscarriages have been that 5 to 7 week. Our first miscarriage was before Harper, so the first time we got pregnant, I miscarried, and super early. Like, my period was due on the Saturday. It didn't come, I think it was like a week later, I did a pregnancy test and it was positive, and then like 4 days later I lost it. So it was this huge roller coaster of emotions back in 2017, where we were like, oh my God, we're pregnant. Like, oh my God, it was so quick. Oh my God, amazing, our first child. And then crashing down. But it was really quick. It was a quick turnaround. I suppose we hadn't really had that much time to fully plan with that child. We hadn't expected to get, I'm shaking, pregnant so quickly. The next miscarriage, I didn't even know I was pregnant. We weren't trying. I swapped pills while we were overseas, and it was more like a chemical pregnancy. So that was that miscarriage. That was at the beginning of 2020. And then the one in February. So then, for those of you who don't know, we struggled to conceive after having the next time we tried to conceive. It was about 7 or 8 months of trying, and we were like, what's going on? Like, Chris and I have regular sex, you know, we were doing it all over my ovulation. I was doing ovulation kits, the whole shebang. So we went and saw a fertility specialist at the back end of 2020, and found out that my egg count was severely low. And he said to us, the chances of you falling pregnant naturally are slim to none because you've got such low eggs, which is why you have such a short cycle. So my cycle is 21 days. And I wasn't aware it was 21 days because prior to having Harper and then straight after Harper, I went straight on the pill. So it literally, you know, it controls your hormones for you. So I didn't know how long my natural cycle was. So it wasn't until I came off the pill and we were trying for a baby too that I realized my cycle was only 21 days. So, which makes sense. If there's no egg there, then my body was just, you know, bleeding after the 21 days. So we did the ovulation induction for the twins. I got pregnant with the twins and then got told, yeah, like, that this is probably it. If you want any more kids, you might have to come back and see me. And we were like, no, 3's fine. Only ever wanted 2, 3's fine. And so, yeah, continual sex, whole time, twins, you know, up until 18 months. And then we got pregnant in January. And I literally was shaking. I've never shaken so much in my life. Chris was like, what the hell? Like, we did not want 4 kids. Like, what the hell? And like, we're not supposed to get pregnant. And it just felt like it was supposed to be a miracle. We worked backwards and we realized the weekend that I got pregnant was the weekend after mine and Harper's car accident. And, you know, I'm a big believer in fate and, you know, one door closes, another door opens, and from shit comes beauty and all these things. And I was like, wow, look at that. Like, we lost another cat back in the last year. We had this car accident and now we're pregnant. Like, what a beautiful, positive blossom from some shit. And we did get into the mindset that, you know, I mean, last pregnancy, it was fine. And then we went for our 7-week scan and there was no heartbeat. And he was still like, oh, it's just measuring 5 weeks. Maybe you've got your ovulation wrong. But I think as women, we just know. And the next day I started to miscarry that baby. And we had started talking about what a future would look like for 4. And it was really upsetting. It was really hard. And, but I think at that 7-week mark as well, when you miscarry at that time, when I did pass it, it was still just, you know, a tiny little thing. And I, you know, even though we started making plans, it wasn't like, you know, fully plans, but you do put in your head what it's going to look like. And at that time, in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I want this 4th baby. And I remember Chris being like, oh, like, do you though? And he was like, yeah, he's like, okay, like, how about I just give you to the end of the year? If you're not pregnant by the end of the year, then I'll get a vasectomy and that's it. And I'm like, you know what, that's fine. I'm happy with that. Like, at least I've got like an endpoint. And so, you know, again, we weren't like trying, but we weren't not trying. Like, we were having regular sex. And I was like, let's just let nature take its course. I didn't get pregnant in 18 months. We got pregnant now. The chances of getting pregnant again this year, probably slim, but I was like always holding hope that maybe we would. And then sitting on the couch at day 28 in June, I said to Chris, I was like, it's day 28 and I usually get my period on day 21. And he was like, what? And so I messaged Brooke. I was like, where are you? And she was like, driving. I was like, can you pass by a pharmacy and get a pregnancy test? And we were pregnant again. And I was like, see, it's meant to be. And we've had a miscarriage before every live baby we've had. So we were like, oh my God. And I was like, I'm not going to get too excited. And we didn't get too excited. I don't even know if we hugged and kissed. I was like, let's not get too excited. Let's just get to our 7-week scan. Let's make sure everything's fine. And I really was holding my emotions back from getting excited. I was like, I don't want to get excited. And I'll talk about this a bit later on about how I'm not going to do this again. But I didn't want to get excited. For me, I was like, lower expectations, less chance of getting hurt, like protective mechanism. But we got to that 7-week scan and I looked over and Chris is just bawling his eyes out, you know, like little heartbeat. You know, like it's hard on them as well. And he was beautiful. He's like, oh, it's okay. And my obstetrician was like, yes, it's okay. And I think for that moment, that 7-week mark, we were like, yay, like it's fine. And we were past that mark for us, right? And we did start planning, you know, we've ordered a new car. And to be honest, we were going to probably order a new car anyway, but we ordered a new car. You know, we were talking about how beautiful it's going to be to see the twins as older siblings. You know, my family's not here. Chris's family's in England. You know, in his vows, Chris always said he wanted a big family. You know, we always thought we wanted 2 kids, but like, we love our kitties and we have so much fun. And, you know, like, we just had this like thing of like Christmases with like 4 kitties and them all jumping into the bed. And anyway, so we started making plans, and just like you do when you start talking about it. And then we went on a holiday. So at 9 weeks, we left for Europe. And yeah, I had some morning sickness. I didn't throw up, but you know, that nausea in the mornings, but working out and walking and eating really well actually really helped me in that space. And I kept feeling like that the whole holiday. So in my head, I was like not going to get my 12-week scan until we got back, and I was 14 weeks. But the whole holiday, I had symptoms. My boobs were growing, my tummy was growing. I was not feeling, you know, every morning I woke up feeling quite nauseated. And so that in my head, I was like, these are good signs. And those signs stayed until Mallorca, which was the last step on our holiday. And in Mallorca, in hindsight, had the symptoms gone down a little bit, but the 12-week mark, usually they go down for me anyway. Between 12 and 14 weeks, my symptoms subside anyway. So in my head, I was like, it's okay. They usually subside around this time anyway, which is awesome. My tummy's still growing. My boobs are still big. All good signs. But you know, the funny thing is, and I don't know if this is just me, I always say I've got really good intuition. All my friends would say I've got really good intuition. I just seem to have this feeling. And the whole time on the pregnancy, and you know, sometimes I misinterpret intuition for fear, because it's a protective mechanism or a fear. And I remember seeing someone I follow and who I love following have a miscarriage. She went to her 12-week appointment as well, or I think she was 14 weeks, and the baby had stopped growing at 12 weeks, and she was devastated. And I remember looking at her post, and I would have been about 8 weeks pregnant, and going, I just think that might be me. And I don't know, I didn't want to think it. I didn't say it out loud. It's the first time I said it out loud. And I just thought, don't think that. You're just saying that because you're scared. You're just thinking that because you're scared, but it just fucking stuck in my head. And I couldn't quite get as excited. Like, Chris said something to me. We went to a shopping centre in Manchester, and he's like, I'll go find something for the new baby. And I was like, no, like, I'm not doing any shopping. Like, no. And I was like, and then he's maybe starting an Instagram page, and he was like thinking of names for it, and he was like, Dad +4, and I was like, no, you can't do that, you can't put it out there. And I kept thinking in my head when I'd say that, like, why do you keep doing that? Is it your intuition, or are you scared? And I never said anything out loud, and it's like you just know something's gonna happen. And again, I don't know if it's fear, or I just knew. So we were in Mallorca with Chris's family. It was wonderful, and we had done our beautiful announcement on Instagram. We'd planned it, so it was really cool, like with the suitcase and the beautiful pictures on the beach. And again, I just said to Chris, I said, I think we have to announce. But I still don't know if we should announce. Like, something in me was like, should we maybe not announce? And I think I just knew. Anyway, so the day we left Manchester, I get anxious flying. Thanks. I get quite anxious flying, and it's something I've worked on. If you guys follow me back in December, I got a fucking massive anxiety attack before I flew in December, but I've really worked on it this year because we knew we were doing 5 million flights in Europe. So it's like, you can't be anxious every fucking time you fly. So the morning of the flight, I had some tummy pains, but you know, sometimes as well, you don't know if it's like bowel or uterus, like they're so close, and I get irritable bowel syndrome as well. So we were packing up and everything was in the car ready to go to the airport, and I said, Chris, I just got some tummy pains. He's like, it's probably your anxiety, babe. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right, like we're about to get on these 2 big flights. And I was like, yeah, it's totally that, like I probably need to go and poo, like maybe I should just have a poo. Anyway, I get to the airport, didn't really think anything of it. Literally got to the gate and I said, I'm just going to the toilet. I'm just going to nip to the toilet. totally feels the same, right? Like, I'm like, do I need a shit or is my uterus contracting? Like, I don't know. So I'm just going to pop to the toilet. He had the kids at the gate, and I went to the toilet and I wiped myself, and there was a little bit of blood there. But, like, not bright blood. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, we're literally getting on the plane. And I was like, maybe it's because I'm nervous and anxious as well. You know, and I totally know it's normal to spot around this time as well. And so I said, I'm just going to nip to the pharmacy and get some pads just in case. And I called my mum when I was at the gate, and I was like, Mum. She's like, it's probably totally normal. Do you want to get on the plane? I was like, yeah, like, it's just, I'm sure it's just a bit of spotting. It's not bright red. Yeah, it's totally fine. And I got Brooke to, like, call my obstetrician, and she was like, he's just saying, like, it's not bright blood, like, it should be fine. Yeah, see, you bled for 3 months. One of my best friends bled with her child as well. So I was like, it's fine. And, you know, there's a difference between trying to stay positive and then just knowing as well. And Chris is so good at this. He's like, babe, it's okay, don't think like that, it's okay, and we're getting on the plane. And I didn't really think much about it for the first few hours on the plane. I kept going to the toilet, and I'm like, it's not really getting any heavier either, like, it's not getting heavier, it's sort of staying the same. And I was like, I think it's okay. And so we're on the plane, as you guys probably know, with 3 kids, it's fucking manic, so it's like, you know, monitoring kids, trying to feed them, whatever. Kept going to the toilet to check, and then about 8 hours in, the pain started. And I just turned to Chris and I said, I know what this is. And he was like, it's fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. I said, it's not fine. And he's like, it's okay, don't cry yet, it's fine. And I'm like, I know this pain, babe. Like, I know this pain. And he goes, we have to get off at Singapore. And I said, no, we're going to go straight through. It's fine. We're going to go through. I just want to get home. I want to see Pregs, my obstetrician. I want to get home. I want to see him. The kids need to be home, you know. And the next 3 hours on the plane, it just got worse and worse and worse. And so I was 13 and a half weeks, and it literally started feeling like, to be honest, it's almost a blur because it was that painful. I've laboured with both my pregnancies for a few hours, so not going to full labour, full dilation labour, but this was almost worse than as far labour as I got with the twins. So I got my epidural about 3 hours into labour with the twins, and this was worse. It was excruciating, and to the point where Harper turned to me. She's like, what's going on, Mummy? I said, I think I've lost the baby, Mama. And she just burst into tears. She said, no, Mummy, I really wanted that baby brother or sister. And I said, I know, Bub. I know, you just have to really help Daddy, huh? Like, you have to really help Daddy. Because Mummy's going to really struggle in a second. And she was so fucking good. And so they called for a doctor on the plane, and a nurse came down. She's like, look, I'm not a midwife. I'm just a nurse. I don't... You know, I haven't had experience in this. She's like, but you have to get off in Singapore. And even in that moment of pain, I was like, no, I need to get home. And Chris is like, we're not going fucking home. So I was met by medical staff, taken to the medical part of the hospital. Chris got all the kids off the plane by himself. I fucking have no idea, with all our hand luggage, like the 2 prams, the hand luggage, the kids' backpacks, like everything. Met us there. And yeah, just every 2 minutes, like the most excruciating pain for about a minute, like proper like labour. And Harper came and like held my hand, and she said, Mummy, just squeeze my hand when it hurts. I don't know where she even got that from, but she did. And I was like, thanks, baby. And she was just so beautiful, and she was helping Daddy so much with the twins, and she's just squeezing my hand. And then she says to me, she goes, how did it even get in there? I was like, this is not the right time. This is not the right time to ask that question. I was like, I'll tell you another day. which made me giggle actually. So they put me in an ambulance, and it took me to the hospital, and this is where it got so bad, and they'd given me some endone, and took me to the hospital, took me up, I had to wait, they took me into emergency, gave me some pethidine, god, that shit is horrendous. Chris got the kids with the hand luggage into a taxi with no car seats. There's a picture of him with all 3 kids piled in the back seat to the hospital. And I'm not sure if you guys have read his blog. He wrote for Mamamoo, but go read it. It's fucking beautiful. I'm really really lucky to have him. He's I did not show it enough to him, but he's really, really special. You got to the hospital, got to emergency, got taken up to see an obstetrician. And I said, can you just see if it's a boy or a girl? Can you try and see? She said, I can't because it's already started to come down and out. It's already down too far in your uterus, like it's on its way out, so I can't see. And we weren't going to find out the sex, but I really wanted to know. And she said they can't test the fetus because it's too expensive. She said, I'm sorry, but it's already come down. You could see its little body on the scan. And her bedside manner was so shit compared to my obstetrician. Yeah, so she gave me an unfit to fly. And thank God I got an offer to go to a private hospital or a public hospital, but we have travel insurance, and I opted for the private hospital because I knew if I was in a public hospital, I'd be put in an postnatal unit with all other mums having kids, and I didn't want that. So I was in a private hospital, and so this was Thursday. By the time I got to my own room, I think it was about midday, and Chris was walking around looking for a hotel, came to the hospital, came upstairs, went looking for a hotel, checked the kids and him into a hotel. We didn't have our luggage, so we went and bought them clothes and fed them, walking around with 2 single prams with the twins and a almost 5-year-old. He said he fucking fell shit down the escalator. He said he was just in dad mode. I just have to, And my mum then was like, I'm coming over. I land at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll see you then. And I don't know if you guys do this, but I'm like, no, it's fine. We don't need you. And Chris is like, no, it's fine. She's like, I'm coming. And so she got on a plane that night. She landed at 8 o'clock the next morning. So Thursday, Chris went to a hotel. They came and saw me, I think, about 5 o'clock during visiting hours. And the cramps are continuing. I passed about 5 o'clock. I did pass these 2 massive, bits of tissue, which one I found out was the placenta, and one was just a big clot. Then Chris had to go home and obviously put the kids to bed. And so the medical staff and the nurses at the Singapore hospital were beautiful, really nice. But then about 11:30, 11:30, I passed the baby. I was just by myself in Singapore. I just wanted Chris there to see our baby, because it was just sitting there, its little body, and a fully formed baby. And I know those of you that have had late miscarriages or stillbirths will totally understand the pain of seeing that, because it is a baby. But the nurse was so beautiful. She was so beautiful. She held my hand, and I know, I'm not religious at all, but she was like, just cry. And she's like, your little angel will be watching over you. And she just said the most beautiful things. And it's all I needed in that moment was that, when she came and she said, do you want to have another look at it? So I did. I took a photo to show Chris and just, I don't know, I'm that type of person. Called Chris and told him, and anyway, so then the next day my mum arrived, and it was really nice. It was really good for Chris to have there. And then I had to have another scan to check if all the tissue had gone. So obviously when you miscarry, you know, you have to make sure that's gone, and it's so clinical from then, right? Like, so clinical. But we got there the next day, and so Chris had mum but was able to come on Friday night by himself because we hadn't had any time, just me and him, to talk. We hadn't had any time just to be with him and me, and so he came on Friday night. The Friday night, so mum was there. She took the kids to bed, and Chris came to the hospital. And Chris is like, you guys know, he's like jokester, he's funny, but he's really caring, really loving, and he's quite emotional, but can also be very, like, I always say, like, Chris is the type of person that's never going to have a mental health issue. Like, he's really able to, like, compartmentalize things and, you know, see the logical side of things. And yes, he's emotional and gets, you know, but we were sitting in bed just talking, and he's just holding me. We're sitting in the hospital bed, and I said, oh, do you want to see the photo? And he said, no, I don't think I do. I said, okay. He goes, do I? I go, I don't know. I said, it's our baby. Do you want to see the photo? Like, I get it if you don't. And he was like, nah, okay, show me the photo. And I've never seen him more upset than in that moment. He looked at that photo and he was like, it's a fucking baby, Dad. I said, yeah, babe. It's a baby. And he was like, fuck. And he just lost it. And it's really hard. I don't think there's anything harder than seeing someone you love in pain, which obviously he's been experiencing, but then for me to experience it, because they don't have to deal with it. I think it's really hard for them to realise because they're not going through it, but you then realise that they are going through it in their own way, in a different way. And he's like, I think we need to have a fourth baby. And I said, I know. Anyway, he had to leave me because they made him go. And then I woke up on Saturday. It was my birthday, and I got the most beautiful messages from you guys. And I think I had a really tough first hour of my birthday, and I was like feeling a bit sorry for myself, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe this is how I'm fucking waking up on my birthday. And then I thought, but fuck, I don't know why this huge amount of gratitude came over me and has stayed with me since then. And I just thought, I have 3 fucking beautiful children. I have the most amazing husband. My mum has flown over. We're in a city where the healthcare system is amazing. I've got these beautiful doctors around me. The immense amount of messages I got, like, how could I, you know, it was shit. And it was hard, and I was hurting, but how could you not be grateful in that moment? You know, and it's that balance between allowing yourself to grieve and being happy, but then going, but look how beautiful life is, and look at all the stuff that I get to do, and the people I get to be with and surround myself with, and how much love there is in the world. And that gratitude has stayed. And I was a grateful person anyway, but that gratitude has stayed. And although I didn't really feel like doing much when I got released from hospital on that Saturday and I saw those 3 kiddies' faces, like, you know, just so happy to see you. And, you know, like, just, you know, you go, fuck, some people don't even get a baby. And I have 3, you know, like, it doesn't take away the pain. It doesn't make it okay. It just, you go, look, like, this is awesome. You know, this is beautiful. and we went to Universal Studios on the Sunday, and seeing their little faces light up, no, it doesn't make it any, no. But, you know, you've got to find the joy, because, you know, your emotions and and rub off on them as well, you know, like it I don't know, it rubs off on them, and then the twins have no idea what's going on, and Harper doesn't really know what's going on. Like, she knows what's going on, but she can't, you know, her brain is not mature enough to fully understand, and until you think, oh my God, maybe you do. And we were sitting in the hotel room on the Sunday, and I don't know why we were all sitting on the floor. Maybe I was packing or something. We were all sitting on the floor. And I said, do you want Mummy and Daddy to try for another baby, Bubba? And she went, I do, Mama, but I don't want you to go through that again. And I was like, fuck, how do you even understand that that's what happened? They're so much smarter than you think. And yeah, we got home, and it was fucking weird, and I was trying not to let it put a dampener on the most amazing holiday as well. And that was the other thing, like, we've just been on this beautiful holiday, you know, like, we worked our asses off to book that gorgeous 5-week holiday, and how, like, I'm not going to say lucky, we worked hard, but like, how grateful and beautiful that we got to do that. I didn't want it to put a dampener on that either. But, you know, things kept popping up and they remind you of stuff, and that's okay. And I think for me, acknowledging the grief, being okay with the grief, but then finding things to be grateful for and positive for, because I don't like being down there. You know, I went through a really bad relationship in my 20s where I was highly anxious, depressed, I was on medication. When I left that relationship, I was in a really dark place, and I don't like being down there. I don't know if it's triggering for me being down there, but I don't like being down there. It makes me feel shit. And then you know, things happen every day that are so bad. You know, like, there's an earthquake at the moment in Morocco, and 2,200 people are dead. You know, like, I know it's life is beautiful, and as you know, as long as I've got the people I love and my health, and then there's always something to smile about, and that's what keeps me going, and that's why I want to keep going. Like you said, I don't know who said it, but like, it doesn't take away the pain, it doesn't make it, like, it maybe it does make it easier, but like, it makes you be able to cope better. And then you have your moments, you know, like now, or in bed with Chris, or in the shower, or with my mum again. You know, I saw her on the weekend and we had a little cry together, and we went and I had my appointment with the obstetrician the day after we got back, and as you guys probably know, I crashed my fucking car into the car park. I just don't think I was in the right headspace to probably drive a car, which isn't ideal. And it's easy to go, for fuck's sake, like, life is just throwing me lemons. But it's teaching you something, you're learning something from it, you know. And again, so I scraped the side of my car off. Like, it's fucking shit, but like, you know, no one died. It's fine. But Chris, I think it was after the appointment, I got home and he goes, we're going again. I went, yeah? He was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. I go, but you've given me December cutoff. Like, you said December's like the last time, and then you're going to get a vasectomy. He's like, no. He's like, let's move the date. And the reason that we had a date like that initially was because I'm turning 40 in 2 years. And I said, I need a year before my 40th to feel strong and confident again for my 40th birthday. Is it a superficial goal? Yes. Is it a goal because I want to be in Mykonos on my 40th? Yes. So that's why we worked backwards. December would be the last time I could get pregnant because it would be born next August with all my other children. And then I'd feel really confident for my 40th the August after. So Chris goes to me, how long do you need to feel strong again? He's like, going back through my photos, he's like, you look fucking hot here. How many months postpartum are you here? I'm like, 7 months postpartum with the twins. He's like, and that was twins. He's like, if it's a singleton, you'll be back in 4 months. I was like, whoa. Like, let me actually recover get past the hormones, feel confident, but also like in more of a groove with 4 children if it happens to happen. And so he's like, and he worked backwards. He's like, we have till May. He's like, end of May. He's like, if we're not pregnant by my birthday, his birthday in May, then he'll get a vasectomy. So we talked to our obstetrician, and he said, what did he say? He said, if you haven't gotten pregnant by December or January, come and see him and we might do some fertility treatment again. The chances of twins is high again, so it does put me off a little bit doing fertility treatment, but for some reason, this 4th little child, I think needs to be here. So let's see what happens. But I think someone asked me if I'm having a funeral or anything. No, not for this one. One of my beautiful friends bought us a star. So we have a star in the sky. And I saw a beautiful, like, have you guys seen that reel that's going around? It's like, imagine, like, I don't believe in God or anything, but like, imagine getting to the afterlife and hearing these little voices say, hi, mummy, and you've never heard them before, and it's your little babies in heaven. Like, I thought that was really gorgeous and a really nice thing. And so our star is up there. We have our star. But this one for me was harder. It was much harder. It was further along. My boobs were big. My tummy was bigger. You know, you think everything is going to be okay at that mark. And what I was just going to talk about, and I said I'd come back to, is the fact that I'm now annoyed that I didn't get excited. I'm annoyed I didn't get excited at the start. And I was talking to some women that have had late miscarriages and stillbirths, and they said they feel the same. They can't get excited until that baby's in their arms. Or, you know, like one beautiful lady was saying she lost a baby at 20 weeks and that she was currently 19 weeks with another baby, and she can't get excited until she has this 20-week scan and hit that point again. And it got me thinking that I fucking hate this wait till 12 weeks to announce thing. You know? Because why? Because yes, it's rare, but like, you can lose a baby at any stage, but you can also not. You can also have live children, and imagine not celebrating that pregnancy because you were scared the whole time, and then the baby's born, and then I'd feel so fucking bad that I didn't celebrate that pregnancy and be excited for that pregnancy. I said to Chris, nah, fuck it. I said, next time, hopefully if there's a next time, celebrating that baby from the start, man. Like, every pregnancy should be celebrated, because every pregnancy could turn into a little child running around. So fuck this 12. And you know what the fucking shit thing is about the 12-week mark? Like, imagine, for example, on my holiday, like, I'm so excited. Everyone who is pregnant is excited. Like, you're excited, but you fucking can't tell anyone. It's like winning the lottery and not telling anyone. But why not? So next time, I'll get that yes or the double lines, and I'll tell my closest people that need to not hear it on Instagram. And then I'm fucking telling you guys, man, because I'm going to celebrate that kid from day one. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to tell everyone, because it doesn't matter if you tell everyone or not tell anyone. Does it? Because you could lose it anyway, or you could not lose it. So yeah, that's what I was going to say about that. And it's also upsetting, because then now that I've lost this one, I now wish I'd celebrated it more, because I wish I'd told you guys more, and I wish I'd celebrated and told like other people that I was around, you know, like you're at events or at somewhere and you're like, oh, I just want to say, like, all you want to say, right? At any part of your pregnancy, all you want to do is be like, I'm pregnant. That's what you want to do, right? Like, you want to go, I'm pregnant. Like, that's all you want to do, but you're like, I'll just have a water. Like, why? It's such an old school mentality. So anyway, that's what I think of that. And I would be really upset if I, you know, imagine not being excited the whole pregnancy of the twins or Harper. I feel so shit about it, you know? So let's change the stigma on that. Let's change this 12-week mark. Who even fucking came up with that shit anyway? Who came up with that? It's fucking a stupid rule. And also, you know, the earlier you tell people, if something does go wrong, the more support you have. And especially for someone like myself who is in this space and I share things, like on some days when I was talking to you guys, all I wanted to say was, I feel fucking shit right now. And some of you might actually relate to that. You might be pregnant yourselves and be like, thanks, Danny, for saying that. I feel shit too. What are you doing about it? And I could share my things. I'm feeling shit today. This is what I'm doing about it. Or, come on, who's 6 weeks pregnant with me? Let's all grab some water, have some water, say a few fucks, you have an adult tantrum, and let's all go for a walk. You know, I might be able to help more people if I was to actually tell people earlier. And you have more support around you when you tell people earlier, you know? I never understood how... Totally, I agree. Let's fuck the 12-week rule. Let's start a campaign. Fuck the 12-week rule. It's fucked. So, anyway, that's my story. 4 miscarriages. Never thought that would be me. Twins. Never thought that would be me. Almost fatal car accident. Never thought that would be me. Isn't life funny how it does these things to you and you're like, holy shit, never thought that would be me. Fertility treatment. Never thought that would be me. Business owner. Never thought that would be me. So life throws things at you. And then I spoke about it briefly on my story this morning about resilience. And every time you get up, after you fall down, you get stronger. And it doesn't mean you don't care. And it doesn't mean you are hard or hardwired. It just means that you have a part of gratitude in you that means that you keep getting up. You keep getting up. Because some people don't get to get up. So I hope by sharing, I hope some people feel seen. I hope you feel validated. I encourage you to talk about it. One thing that Chris says in the blog on Mama Moo, please go and have a read. It's absolutely beautiful. Is that he talks about it, and he talks about it with his friends as well, and it helps, you know. And people say, "Why? Like, what helps you, Danny?" And I said, talking about it in my own time. You know, like I'll just randomly go up to Chris sometimes and just start talking about it, and he's like, okay, you know, or on here, or to your friends, or if there's a community that you want to talk to it about it on, or a stranger. So many women message me, and I love that. If, you know, sometimes talking to a stranger is way better. You know, just there's no preconceived idea of the person. It's neutral space. Yeah, just talking about it, and talking can help. And, you know, fearing something also, I mean, going into another pregnancy, and there's going to be an element of fear. Yeah, there's definitely going to be an element of fear. But like I said before, like you can't fear something that hasn't happened yet. Because what if it doesn't happen? And what if the end result is actually amazing? So that's where I think that mindset comes into it for next time, is that being like, what can I control? What can I not control? And focusing on what you can control. And what you can control is how positive you are, what you eat, how much you move, all those great things. Focusing on what you can't control and what's not happened isn't going to help you. You know, sitting there going, but what if? Yeah, what's the other side of what if? What if something great happens? What if something great happens? Stay on that side of the tracks. And it is hard. And it is... does take consistency, and it does take persistence and doing it all over again. But yeah. Anyway, I hope... Does anyone have any questions? I know I'm just going to go back. I don't know if there's any other questions back here. Oh, no. Just people being so beautiful. Yeah. Oh. Thank you so much. I know. Who knows? We'll see. Oh, congratulations, Sarah. And I hope, yeah, just celebrate that little person, you know. And you know, the thing is as well, and this is what Chris reminds me, because there is a part of me as well that goes, what did I do? Did I do something? Was it my running? Did I overheat my body? Was it what did I have? I had something. Was it the sip of wine I had? You know, like, you know, you try and go, was it something I did? And Chris goes, it's nothing you did. You know, it's nothing you did. So I suppose that's, Chris goes, you know, you couldn't have done anything, you know? So focus on what you control. So if you are pregnant, just focus on what you can control, moving your body, eating well, practicing gratitude, drinking lots of water, and focus on just growing that baby. Don't focus on what might not happen or the stuff, because again, what if it's amazing? So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys are so beautiful, and really grateful for this community, and having all the support. Your guys' messages during it was just so beautiful, and yeah, grateful that I've created this community of beautiful humans as well. So all right, I'm off. I hope you had a lovely day, and I'll talk to you soon. Lots of love.